All right, we're diving straight into one of the biggest, oldest, most difficult questions in all of theology, and we're going to look at it through the lens of one really specific and pretty provocative argument. Let's get right into it.
So let's just put the question right out there. It feels like a huge contradiction, right? If God's mercy is truly infinite, way beyond anything we can even imagine, then why on earth create a figure like Satan, a being whose whole job seems to be dragging humanity toward ruin? How does that make any sense?
To really get why this is such a paradox, we need to bring it down to earth, ground it in something we can all feel. And that's the powerful protective instinct of a parent.
I mean, just think about it from our perspective. Any loving mother, she would never intentionally bring something into her child's life that was designed to cause them ultimate harm. It's unthinkable. But we're told God's compassion is infinitely greater than the compassion of every mother on earth combined. So how do you square that circle? It just doesn't seem to add up.
Okay, and this is where the argument we're exploring just flips the whole thing on its head. It basically says, what if we've been looking at Satan's role completely wrong? What if he's not just the bad guy, but actually a necessary ingredient for us to become perfect? And the key to unlocking this whole idea is one word: Kamala. Now, what is that? Think of it as the absolute peak, the ultimate goal for every single person, reaching your highest spiritual and human potential, literally becoming the best possible version of you. So, how does that work? Well, the argument goes like this. Our potential for greatness, it's like a seed buried in the ground. Now, what does a seed have to do to grow? It has to push. It has to break through the resistance of the soil. Without that struggle, without that pressure against something, that seed of potential just sits there, dormant. It never becomes what it was meant to be. And in this view, Satan represents that resistance.
Okay, I get it. Necessary struggle can sound a little philosophical, a little abstract, but this argument brings it right down to earth with a couple of really powerful everyday examples. First up, building muscle. Anyone who's ever been to a gym knows this. You can't get stronger by lifting air. You need resistance. A muscle only grows when it's pushed, when it's challenged by weight. And this argument says our character, our soul, it works the exact same way. And it's in that moment of the burn, that feeling when you're really being tested. It could be something small like getting cut off in traffic, or something huge, a major life crisis. That's the moment a virtue like patience stops being just a word you know. That struggle, that feeling of being pushed to your limit, that's the very forge where patience is hammered into something real and strong. And what's really fascinating is how this theological idea lines up almost perfectly with a super famous concept from psychology, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You've probably seen this pyramid before. We're all trying to climb it, right? From our basic needs for food and safety, all the way up to the very top, self-actualization, which, when you think about it, is just another way of saying Kamala.
So what allows us to climb that pyramid? According to this argument, Satan is that universal resistance. He's the force that creates the challenges we have to overcome to get from one level to the next. He's what pushes us, ultimately, toward that peak. Right, but hold on. This raises a massive question, doesn't it? What about all the people who don't make it? What about the countless people who seem to fail the test? This brings us to what is, for sure, the most challenging and maybe even controversial part of this whole idea. And it requires a complete flip in how we think about value. The core principle here is this. From a divine perspective, significance and value are determined by quality, not by numbers. It's not about counting heads. And to make this point crystal clear, the source uses a really stark, kind of jarring analogy. Ask yourself, what has more value? One beautiful, intricate Persian cat or 70 cockroaches? I mean, the answer's obvious, right? It's the cat. The comparison is designed to force us to think about value in terms of quality, not just sheer quantity. Or here's another way to look at it. Imagine a farmer who plants 1,000 seeds. 990 of them never sprout. They just rot in the ground. But 10 of them, just 10, grow into these incredible fruit-bearing trees. Does that farmer look at the field and see a 99% failure? Of course not. The unbelievable value of those 10 magnificent trees completely justifies the loss of the seeds that didn't make it. So now apply that exact same farmer's logic to all of humanity. The argument concludes that a system that allows for the creation of even one person who reaches that absolute peak of Camelot, think of a prophet or a true saint,
That one person's existence justifies the entire system, even with all its failures. That one perfect tree makes the whole orchard worthwhile. It's all about the quality of the outcome.
So wait, does that mean struggle or even Satan is actually good? Well, not quite. And this is the final, really critical piece of the puzzle. The argument draws a sharp line between a thing's existence and its use.
Think about fire. Is fire evil? No, of course not. It's just a tool. It's neutral. You can use it to cook a meal and warm your family, or you can use it to burn down a house. The good or evil isn't in the fire, it's in how you use it. Same with a knife. It can slice bread for dinner, or it can be used to hurt someone. The argument applies this exact same logic to Satan. He's presented as a neutral force of opposition. The morality, the good or the evil, comes from how we, with our free will, choose to react to that opposition.
So it really all boils down to this final idea, that there are two kinds of beauty in the world. First, there's the obvious stuff, the beauty in appearance, things like daylight, a perfect piece of fruit, a feeling of peace. They're just beautiful on the surface. But then there's a second kind, beauty in the outcome. Think about it. The night is dark, but it brings necessary rest. Medicine can taste awful, but it brings health. In this framework, struggle and opposition are in that second category. They don't look pretty, they don't feel good in the moment, but they are considered beautiful because of the incredible growth, the perfection that they make possible.
So when you put it all together, this argument completely reframes the problem of evil. It suggests it's not a bug in the system, but a necessary feature, the resistance that's required for greatness to even exist. And that leaves us with one last, really deep question to think about. If struggle is what forges all meaning and value, then what's the point of a life that has none?